Sometimes the quietest voices hold the loudest truths. And sometimes the one person nobody expects ends up touching every single heart in the room. This is the story of a shy student, a boy who barely spoke, yet when he finally did, his words made everyone cry. In a small town in northern England, there lived a 16-year-old boy named Ethan Carter. Ethan wasn't like the other students in his school. While most kids laughed loudly in the hallways, joined football games, or raised their hands in class, Ethan always sat quietly. He was shy, painfully shy. He avoided attention, avoided crowds, and rarely spoke more than a few words at a time. His teachers described him as the boy with potential, locked inside silence. His classmates often overlooked him, not out of cruelty, but simply because Ethan blended into the background. But inside Ethan's heart was a storm of thoughts, feelings, and dreams. He just never had the courage to let them out. One day, their English teacher, Mrs. Williams, gave the class an assignment. "Each of you," she said, "will prepare a short speech, something about life, something real, something that matters to you." The classroom buzzed with excitement. Students joked about what they would say. Some planned funny stories, others thought about deep topics. But Ethan froze. A speech? In front of everyone? His stomach turned, his hands shook just thinking about it. He went home that evening and sat at his desk. The paper in front of him stayed blank for hours. How could he possibly speak in front of his class when he struggled even to order food at a cafe? Ethan almost gave up. He thought about pretending to be sick on the day of speeches. But then he remembered something. In his drawer, he kept an old photograph of his father. His father had passed away when he was just 10 years old. It was the hardest thing he had ever faced in his young life. That night, Ethan whispered to himself, Maybe I can speak about him, about what he taught me, about how much he means to me." His hand still trembled, but slowly words began to flow on the page. He wrote about love, about loss, about the way his father used to encourage him, saying, "Son, don't hide your voice. The world needs to hear it." By the time Ethan finished writing, his eyes were wet. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of courage. The morning of the speeches arrived. One by one, students went to the front of the class. Some made the room laugh, some made it think. And then it was Ethan's turn. He walked slowly to the front. His palms were sweaty, his throat dry. He could feel his classmates' eyes on him. Most of them expected nothing special. After all, Ethan never spoke much. He took a deep breath, unfolded the paper in his hand, and began. At first, his voice was shaky, but then as he spoke about his father, something changed. "Most people here knew me as the quiet one," Ethan said softly, "the one who never spoke up. But I want to tell you why. When I was 10 years old, I lost my dad, and when he left, it felt like my voice left with him." The room fell silent. Every student leaned forward, listening. "But my dad always told me something," Ethan continued. "He said, 'Your voice matters, even if it shakes. Speak, because someone out there needs to hear it.' And today, I'm trying to be brave enough to believe him." Ethan's voice cracked. Tears filled his eyes, and surprisingly, tears filled the eyes of his classmates too. He spoke about grief, about how silence can sometimes be a shield, and about the importance of telling people you love them while you still can. By the time Ethan finished his speech, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Even Mrs. Williams, his teacher, wiped away tears. When Ethan sat back down, something had shifted. The shy boy who was once invisible had just touched every single heart in the classroom. That day, Ethan learned something powerful. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's speaking even when your voice shakes. And his classmates learned something too, that behind every quiet face there may be a story, a pain, a truth waiting to be heard. So, dear listener, remember this. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Sometimes their silence holds the most powerful words. And never hide your own voice, because what you carry inside might be the very thing that changes someone else's life. Ethan walked out of that classroom lighter than he had felt in years. He wasn't just the shy boy anymore. He was the boy who had spoken, and in doing so, reminded everyone that the human heart speaks louder than anything else.